be kicking over live. And again, no Steve. This is getting to be a really bad habit. Okay, it shows that we have moved over live. I'm assuming that
Not
we
seeing
are.
it yet.
You aren't seeing it yet, but
On your Facebook page. Oh, there we go. It's live.
There we go. And we're live. Excellent. So welcome everyone to another edition of Wine and Whiskey Wednesday with your, and it's going to be single tea for hot. Okay,
sorry, that's me. Sorry about that.
It's going to be single tea for hot ninjas because I don't even know where Steve is. So we're not the hot ninjas today.
Where could he be? He's not supposed to be wandering around outside.
He's wandering around in the house somewhere.
Ah.
So cheers, everyone. I am water tonight, and I was telling Ross that if I started drinking wine, I'm not sure I would stop tonight. So I figured it was probably a good plan to stick with water.
Well, mine's palm juice, so pomegranate and cherry.
Water starts with W.
So everyone, oh, there's Mr. Loates. Okay, so everyone is non-alcoholic tonight. That's unusual. Usually, at least we got one person. Maybe it'll probably be Steve. It'll probably be Steve. What are you drinking, Steve? Hold up your glass. Oh, water too.
Oh, geez.
So there's nobody with alcohol on Wine and Whiskey Wednesday. So
we're gonna have to change it to Water Wednesday.
Yeah, it's water. Yeah. Wine, whiskey, and water Wednesday. Yeah, perfect.
You guys are just following my lead. That's what I do every week.
I guess it just goes to show that you don't actually need the alcohol to have a Wine and Whiskey Wednesday, right? It's just the title of it. Okay, so welcome everyone. And we do appear to be live on Facebook as well. So welcome to everyone that's in the audience. If there is anybody in the audience, if you are there, please say hi, just so we can make sure that you can hear us and see us as well. Because I can't really tell. I can see that Brad joined.
Yeah, there's no one there yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Hopefully you guys are all having a good week, that you're surviving all this craziness that we're having to endure. One of the, so this morning I threw on our Kninja Facebook group to find out what everyone wanted to talk about. There are so many Zoom meetings, webinars, everyone seems to be doing one and a whole bunch of stuff taking place. And so we wanted to make sure that that everyone's looking after their mental health. So what is it that we need to do for ourselves? But to try and get an idea of what people wanted to actually talk about. Had they had enough talking about the coronavirus that they didn't want to talk about it anymore? Did they just need a place to rant and vent? I'm trying to think of what some of the other options are that we had posted. One was, yes, I need help with I need information to give to my clients. And so the overriding consensus, and it wasn't, kind of half and half, it was an overwhelming majority, said that what they wanted to focus on in our conversation tonight were things that they could be doing or we could be doing in our own businesses now so that we emerge stronger on the other side. So that's going to be our topic.
Or things we have seen our clients doing that we think will help them come out stronger on the other side, that we could share so that other people's clients could perhaps do the same thing.
Yes, that was actually one of the options on the poll as well, but yes.
Ironically enough, I was at I had a video conference call yesterday with the Chamber of Commerce, and the presenter was a gentleman that is, he did Indonesian air recovery.
Okay.
And the whole presentation was recovery of your business post COVID-19.
Okay.
So that it was very ironic that you're talking about that. It's like I just actually had a hour-long video conference call yesterday about this with it's the CGLCC. So it's a Chamber of Commerce that I listened to the webinars, and it was very informative.
Excellent. I look forward to hearing some of the ideas that you got as we go through. So we do have some people in the chat. So Welcome Amy and Linda, Rajiv, and Stephanie. Nice to see you all. Okay, so I'm going to start with, and we did write coincidentally, and I actually forgot that we had done this, is we wrote a blog post, I think it was probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Might have been 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was directed at business owners to talk about things that they could be doing in the next 90 days to make sure that they emerge stronger on the other side. And so I had a look, because I forgot what I had written. So I had a look at the blog post. And so I'll start, open to discussions and obviously opening to hear from all of you guys, as well as people that are listening, for ideas of what we can all be doing. Because I think that more than anything else, I mean, right now we're all so focused, or we have been so focused on things that we've been doing for our clients to help our clients understand what they can apply for, getting their stuff ready, that for a lot of us, and I'm 100% guilty of that. I mean, our team is looking after our clients, and I've been kind of focused on trying to stay up to date on what's going on in the industry so that I can keep our team informed and our clients informed. But we haven't really done anything to move us, AIS Solutions or Kninja, forward. Steve has been working on that, on the podcast side of things, but I've been doing absolutely nothing. So I understand how difficult it is to focus on your own business, but I think it's going to be really important, because as much as we want to make sure that our clients emerge on the other side, we also want to make sure that we do, because it would be horrible if anyone in our industry ends up not coming out of this on the other side. So the first thing that I had mentioned in our blog post was focusing on your customer. And there were a couple of different perspectives from this. One is, focusing on your existing customer and strengthening the relationships that you have with your existing customers, reaching out to them, seeing how they're doing. Don't wait for them to come to you. You go to them and be proactive. But also from another perspective, and I know a lot of us have been doing that just in trying to communicate with them on what they can do and what options they have. But from the other side of that, when we're thinking about growing our businesses, what about thinking about what is it that you actually want your customer to look like? Who do you want to focus on? Sometimes we are just so busy that we take all the customers that come through, but being really particular about what kinds of customers that you do want to work with. And going through this crisis situation may also help you very easily, may point you in the direction and show you what the type of people are that you want to work with, because you're going to learn some things about your client base going through this process with them that you may not have known about them before. And so having some clarity around what you want that customer to look like on the other side could certainly be something that you could focus on. Okay, anyone have any thoughts, suggestions, agree, disagree? Everyone's really quiet.
No, I think that's absolutely. I mean, I've got a little list here, so I'll just, some of the things that I read about, seen clients doing, heard people talking about. And I think that the number one thing that came out of this is we have a lot of clients who have, their business, if it's not been completely shut down, it has certainly slowed down for a lot of them. And admittedly, there's lots that are doing great as well. But for those that have slowed down, one of the things that I think they should really be doing with this time, even though it's difficult, is analyze everything. Like, try to look at your business as objectively as you can. So often, small business owners don't get a chance to step outside of their business and look at it because they're too busy with the day-to-day. And so this is time when they can, and I think exactly what you said, Juliet, things like analyze your customers. Are these the customers you want going forward? I'm certainly not suggesting with the way things are that if they are a customer, you know, that you get rid of them today, but analyze them and say, okay, a year from now, because this will pass. A year from now, are these the customers I want? Are these the type of people I want to work with? How were they to work with during these difficult times? Look at your finances. You know, is there ways we can improve our cash flow, collect receivables faster, or eliminate them altogether? You know, be really, really tough on how you do things. Just because you've done it that way forever doesn't mean that's the way you should keep doing it, right? Everybody agrees that the next normal is going to be a brand new normal. It's going to be quite different than what we've been dealing with. So we need to, like I say, really evaluate our business, and should it be different as well? Evaluate your products and services. Do we need to make some changes? You know, do we love what we're doing? Is what we're doing profitable? Is it allowing me to work the kind of hours I want to work and make the kind of money I want to make? Now is the time to sit and say, okay, yeah, I really don't want to be doing that a year from now. So what do I need to change in my business to move towards that and make the necessary changes so that I can eliminate it? Expansion. Are there niches? Are there markets I could be looking at right now that might be ripe for me to move into? Don't know. Be critical of your current model, you know, analyze everything. I think if there's one overall thing, everything is on the table. Just because you've done it this way forever, now is a great time to look at it objectively and decide, is that the way I want to keep doing it? Evaluate your team. If you have a team, you know, is this the team that I want to have a year from now? Support your team, you know, encourage them. Be a leader that they want to continue following. I think, you know, what was that saying that we read about last week? You know, the way that you are perceived or your brand is perceived during this crisis is the way your brand will be seen for many years to come. So remember that. That's my partial list.
Partial list. That's actually a very full list.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to read some of the notes I made from my meeting with the Chamber of Commerce yesterday.
Okay, so before you move on with your list. Okay, so I want to break this down so that there's actually some deeper discussion on some of these topics.
Actually, this leads into Steve's stuff.
A whole bunch of ideas and nothing actionable coming out of it. So let's start with some of the stuff that Steve has talked about, and maybe Ross, it'll overlap with some of the ideas that you have as well. So let's start with, okay, one of the things that you talked about was analyzing your current products and services.
Yep.
So let's talk about products and services first before we move into analyzing, because there's numerous areas to analyzing your business. So let's start with our product and service offering. Is anyone thinking about changing what kinds of services they're offering? Maybe, you know, going through this process, you're doing more advisory than you did before because of the type of information that your clients need. Do you enjoy it? Do you not enjoy it? Is that teaching you something about what it is that you want to do on the other side? Any thoughts? Is anyone doing anything different than they would normally do or were doing before this? And hey, Tiffany, Tamitha, and Clara all jumped in there as well. Welcome, everyone. So any thoughts? Is anyone doing things that are different that they didn't do before?
Or thinking about doing anything different in the future?
Nobody?
I was going to let other people talk.
So world domination? Yeah, I was going to say world domination doesn't count. I already thought I had that under under wraps.
Absolutely. Yes. So that's not really a new product or service. We already knew, Tamitha, that you were doing that. Okay. So no one. So nothing has come into anyone's head about doing anything differently. So that's interesting.
I started simplifying before as if I knew something was going to happen because I'm more ready for this than I thought I would be.
Okay.
Because I had simplified. I want to focus more on, because I don't do all that stuff you guys do. So I haven't been super busy during the pandemic. I don't care about all the different CRA stuff because that's not really where I play.
Yeah.
But I wanted to simplify a long time ago. I got away from a lot of things and I've really narrowed down my offering, and it focuses a lot on getting people on QB, you know, QBO or desktop. But even with desktop, I've always been that mobile guy that can manage people remotely. I'm getting a lot of calls. A lot of people calling me up, asking me about all that. So I'm ready for that. I also cleaned up my own capital structure a bit. I just I took away stuff I was spending that I didn't really need. I got rid of my co-working space because I was never using it. So I kind of, as if by, almost by luck, I'm more ready for it. And because I am simplified, and even within that, I'm targeting larger clients, inventory-based clients, distribution type clients. And those are the clients that are phoning me right now. So it's almost by luck. So I like to think there's a silver lining out there.
Yes.
And
does anybody think there's going to be much more opportunity than there already is with all of those clients that perhaps, or not clients, that we were trying to convince they should be moving to the cloud, and we had a really difficult time with that conversation and they didn't want to move to the cloud? Are they going to be more willing to move? So does that mean over the next couple of years, there's going to be a huge opportunity for that as a primary service for what some of us do, that rather than doing the bookkeeping and the accounting, it's actually helping them move to the cloud, setting up an ecosystem? Is that going to be a bigger opportunity, or it's going to be no different than it has been?
No, I have to agree. It's going to be a much bigger opportunity.
much bigger.
There's a lot of businesses that are realizing that working from home is becoming a necessity right now.
Yeah.
And for example, my restaurant client, after this is over, we were already having this discussion just a couple months ago about transitioning him onto the cloud. And he's looking at this like, this is now, he has to do it. This business is over 50 years old.
Yeah.
The guy that owns it's in his 70s. Okay, he's sort of stuck in his ways, but they're going to be moving to the cloud. And this is something that I think it's going to definitely be an opportunity for a lot of us that are QBO professionals.
Well, disaster recovery has always been a big thing about being in the cloud.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a disaster for a lot of businesses right now. It's a natural disaster in many ways. It's just kind of a slow motion one. And I think we're showing, first and foremost why, and I always play that up to businesses as well. It's not just being able to access it anywhere, but it's being able to access it anytime, no matter what. As long as the internet's up, you're good. And that's a big message right now.
And so is that a strategy that people are taking advantage of now? And again, it depends on where you are in your space right now. Are you overwhelmed and swamped, and the thought of, taking on a new client at this very moment would probably make your head explode like mine would? Or do you have some time that you are looking to fill? And if you are looking to fill some time, are there clients or potential leads that you spoke to 2 months ago, 6 months ago, who weren't ready to make that transition into the cloud? Can you reach back out to them and say, hey, just checking in to see whether or not you made that transition and whether or not it's something that you do need help with now in order to make your business run for the next 6 months, 8 months, whatever this is going to look like. So
my leads were restaurants, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, can you be proactive? Again, that's assuming that you have some. Okay. So we talked about your products and services, whether that was something that you want to change, a new service that you want to offer. The other thing you talked about, Steve, was what is it that you can learn about you?
Were you actually listening to me?
Of course I was listening. I always listen to you.
Awesome. I am so happy.
Was what can you learn about your business? So let's dive into that point. What can you learn? What have you learned about your business? Having gone through the last 3 weeks, what fell apart in your business? Because everything will not have run smoothly. We all know that. So let's figure out what didn't work for us in our businesses and try and put a plan in place to fix it. Whether that is, you realize that you need, you need some duplicate staff support. You need a process for something, that you need some client processes. What other things have you guys found have fallen through the cracks? Go ahead, Tiffany.
Not that it necessarily fell through the cracks, but it could have been an easier and smoother process, is just having my clients categorized as to their business type and what their idiosyncrasies are. Because, just right now, it's like I'm constantly thinking of all the clients and thinking, they're going to qualify for 75. I need to reach out to them about that. I need to qualify. They're going to qualify. I need to shut everybody down. They need to go on CERB, just that, and not able to go to one single place where all of that information is. It's like literally just going down my client list and going, okay, they need to go on that list. They need to go on that list. So not having had that pre-done.
And what kinds of things would you categorize them by?
Probably, well, for sure it would be corporate sole prop per partnership. It would be payroll size, arm's length connections and relationships with multiple corporations.
Dividend versus salary.
What's that?
Dividend versus salary for owners.
Yeah, that would all be part of within the corporate structure kind of a thing. Yeah, okay. I guess so.
Anyone else have anything else that they've realized, that they wish they had, and could do it for, I'm not saying there's going to be another pandemic that comes around, but
what about us, Juliet?
About us?
What have we learned that we could have improved? Or was everything perfect?
No, everything hasn't been perfect. So we had in-house team as well as remote. And so everyone went home, and we've realized, and everyone on our team has kind of been working from home for quite some time, but it's been part-time. It hasn't been full-time. And so we've learned how much more efficient some of their setup was at the office than what they had at home. Yes, they had 2 monitors, but if they had to do something, they knew that they were going to be in the office, so would take care of whatever that other piece was when they got to the office. Now they're only at home. So we've learned some of the shortcomings of the work from home setup that people have had. We've realized that, because there's been a couple times that someone has had to go into the office to get something. One was paper ROEs, because we didn't have web access for them. So someone had to go into the office and pick up the paper ROEs and the stamps so that she could mail them out. And basically, whichever client it was one person that was filling out the ROEs by paper. There weren't, thankfully, a lot of them, but there were a couple clients that we didn't have all the access that we needed. So that was something that we learned. What else did we learn? Those are 2 things that jumped out at me, but I'm sure that if I was to ask my team, they would give me a bigger list.
I know that I don't have business access to all of my business clients, and that's been intentional, just so that they don't depend on me for a lot of stuff, because I will be doing coaching work with them for their operations, and then they have a year-end CPA who does their corporate tax. So I intentionally step away from that kind of relationship, and now realizing that a lot of year-end CPAs don't actually support their clients through this. A lot of clients are calling me they're getting blanket, regurgitation of information from their CPAs, and they have no idea how to read it and understand it. So then they're calling me and going, could you dummy this down for me? Right? Or you know the intricacies of my operations, my business, and my personal life. Can you help me through this? And then, you know, just correlate it with the CPA. So.
Yeah. And I think probably one of the other things that we learned and are adapting was, as these programs are rolling out, so we've been posting a newsletter every day, every other day, of new things that are, because the programs are changing so quickly. Which, from my opinion, was enough that we were doing. We were keeping our clients updated as to what was happening, what was changing. But what we didn't anticipate was that we were going to get the same question about the programs from multiple clients. And we're having to answer them one at a time. And so I'm answering them, my team is answering them, that we don't have a consolidated place of FAQs of, here's the question that everybody's asking, so let's put it somewhere that everybody can find it. And so that certainly, you know, we didn't adapt to that quick enough, of being able to put together some standard FAQs that we could just give to our clients. So that's certainly something, and whether that can apply, you know, to other things. When we set someone up on Receipt Bank, for example, if it's a new client, we set them up on Receipt Bank, they all ask the same thing. And yes, we had created this lovely little branded sheet that we hand them of how to set it up, but the questions that come back from them, okay, I'm stuck, are all the same. And so should we have a place for that, which is why our lovely Jen is building out a knowledge base over the next 3 weeks. So to resolve that. But yeah,
we also learned that we should have designed our webpage for all of the resources very differently than the way we did.
Yes.
Yes, it got a little bit out of control because I guess when we first started doing it, we were not planning that there would be 12 announcements every day, changing everything and then doubling back on it. So that just made things very interesting trying to keep it up to date.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else excited by all this? This stuff just stokes me, like seriously stokes me. I'll stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning reading through the act. Like it just excites me, and just, you know, figuring out how I can work it with all my clients. I got spreadsheets all over the place. I love it.
Okay, Tiffany,
in a morbid sort of way.
Morbidity level there going.
Okay, we need to talk about that, Tiffany.
Yeah.
I think there's an intervention required here.
I think that I enjoyed the challenge of learning something new and tracking something new at the beginning. I'm done. I'm done now. We're good. Let's stop and let's go back to something that's just kind of calm. My
problem was every time you get information, 6 hours later, it's changed.
Yeah.
I've had people from various different ministries on these Chamber of Commerce meetings, and what they said 2 weeks ago is not what's happening today.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to be talking with Minister Ning, or whatever, I can never say her, Ing, is small business minister or whatever. She's going to be on a conference call next Monday. So it'll be interesting to get her what she's up to, but I bet you she's going to say something, and the day after it's going to be different again.
Yeah.
The frustration levels are
so
I guess we're now seeing, right, the difference between when they take a year to put a bill together and when they take 3 days.
Yeah.
And what I take from this is they don't need to be taking a year to get stuff rolled out.
But they do need more than 3 days.
Yes. So has anyone found or realized of a different way to adapt to things quickly? So it's, again, if we think about potential new clients that we're moving from a desktop world to the cloud world, we're asking them for radical change. We're all going through radical change now within our own practices. How are we adapting? What are we doing to make the transition smoother? is that something that you can then apply to your clients when you're trying to get them to make a transition? Looking at it from that perspective as well. I mean, as much as possible, you want to try and learn something out of this entire experience. Okay, so the other thing that that Steve, you mentioned, okay, so learning what's wrong about your business, we've talked about that. Analyzing your business and processes. So if this is a downtime for you, lots of people always say, well, you know, I need to document the processes in my business, but I don't have time to do it. Here you go, here's some time. Maybe documenting your processes is a good thing to be doing. And why is that so funny?
I mean, and maybe we don't have time, but unfortunately, a lot of our clients do. And I think what part of our role as advisors is to remind them of that and suggest, you know, they will be very glad they did when this passes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. And you mentioned, and you talked about marketing, Steve, but I didn't really, my note wasn't very good about marketing. So I just wrote the word marketing, but I don't remember now what it was that you'd said.
It's kind of interesting because I didn't use the word marketing.
Oh, okay. Well, I must have been interpreting then. Not that I ever do that.
I think what it was, expansion. Are there any niches or areas you feel that you could move into? Any opportunities that have become more obvious to you now?
Okay. And let's also talk about from a marketing perspective. Should you be marketing now?
Absolutely.
There are lots of people.
Absolutely.
There are lots of people who don't, who scale back in your, you know, maybe it's your competition in your area that are all scaling back and hunkering down. And so if you're out there, you are going to be the only voice that's out there. So obviously the messaging is going to be, you know, very important, that it's the proper messaging, but, and if it's a niche that you want to focus on, or you want to expand into a niche, then absolutely market now and just be really cognizant of what the messaging is that you're putting out there.
Yeah, no, history has proven over and over that those businesses, and doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, those businesses that continue to spend money on marketing through recessions and downturns always come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Anything else on your list, Steve, that I didn't drill into that I should have? Because you had a big long list. I couldn't keep up.
I think it's time to get started on Ross's list.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just give you a quickly. The guy that did this was Markey International. You can actually research that if you want. MARKEY International. I believe they're in Vancouver. I can't be positive about that. Some of the things he was talking about, the first thing he led up was you do have control over some of the issues. And when you act on those controls, when you do act decisively. He's also going on, the recovery can take, he was going on about the recovery chain. The recovery can take up to 40 months. Recoveries over history are getting longer and longer. He's forecasting this could take up to 40 months to fully recover from where we are now to where we will be later.
Ross, you have some background noise that is interfering with you speaking. The joys of working from home.
The TV's on.
Turn that darn TV off.
Yeah, not me, it's the other half.
Well, it's very distracting because I can't tell if it's you that's talking or the TV that's talking.
The guy talking about Princess Cruises right now. Thanks. Consumer confidence is key. So you got to create confidence in your brand, and I think Steve was alluding to that as well. Your brand and your communication about your brand constantly. You've got to be out there talking, and that leads to the marketing issue. Well, you said, Juliet said marketing. Steve, you said, what was it again?
Expansion.
Expansion, yes. Okay. But it's also, it's control. you have control. You're not totally, it's not taking control of us. We got to take control of it. So there's three things you got to look at when you're looking at your control. It's your response, which is your cash, your recovery capacity, and your reconstruction. Response is looking at cash preservation, cost containment. So alluding into what services are we offering? Do we still need to do those? Do we need to just do others? I'm not Italian, but I talk with my hands. My godfather's Italian. Recovery capacity. What's your balance sheet health check? You've got to do a balance sheet health check. You also got to look at your cash flows and what your forecasted cash flows are looking at. These are things we all know how to do, but we need to talk to our clients about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so hang on a second. Let's dive into that one. So there are a lot of people in our industry who never look after their own books and don't know what their finances look like. So yes, it's as important as it is for you to be able to do it for your clients. Maybe now is the time that you kind of focus and do a cleanup on your own books and make sure that you have some clean numbers so that you are able to come out of it on the other side with some metrics to look at.
You mean that?
Sorry,
You mean
go ahead.
actually? You mean actually practice what you preach?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow, that's a novel concept.
Yeah, it is. But when it's liquidity, we all know all the things that are out there for liquidity, so I'm not going to go over that long list that he went through. But preparing your business, is your vision intact? What is your vision for your business? Is it intact? What are the new milestones going to be on this new road we're all going to be on? We're all going to be on a different road. It's something we're all going to be not used to. We're going to have to work through it. I can't remember my writing. This when you're writing notes when they're doing a workshop, you write fast and it makes it messy. What are your customers? I think it said sentiments. How do your customers' sentiments change, and how are your behaviors change to adapt to your customers if you're going to keep them as a client? And what are you doing today to prepare for tomorrow? What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is everything you've been talking about, Steve.
Good advice.
But the biggest part of here was towards the end, and this is the one I took the most home with me, is the recovery consumer and your business. How will your changed minds shape your business? How is it going to? What are we going to be in the future? Yeah. Reordering of our values. It's time, community. Are you going to look at more green? The ethics around businesses. Are we becoming more ethical businesses? I would assume all of us are ethical. Well, Brad, we're not so sure about some days. Sorry, Brad, you're just at the bottom of my screen.
We're all ethical most of the time.
Yes. Frugality, thrift issues. Will that be an emerging value over the future? Like we're learning to use less. So is frugality going to be coming a new play in our business? Simplicity. How is this changing how we operate? How simple are we going to go? And like, okay, yes, we're looking at apps and going online, and obviously less paper. So that goes to the green aspect. So how simple are we take our business and take our clients' business to make things smoother, more. Steve, help me with that. I can't think of the word all of a sudden. These streamlined and trust. How are we going to take trust and transfer it to our business operations, our clients' business operations, and how they view our operations and our service for them? And the biggest thing, he said, one thing he said at the end of it is, remember to be positive. It will get better.
Yes.
That's a 1 hour seminar, really condensed.
Okay.
Quickly.
Thank you for sharing.
Attitude can be everything.
Sorry, Steve, what was that?
Attitude can be everything.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that, Steve said it, Ross said it, it is your mindset. And as much as we're trying to stay upbeat and to try and get everything done for our clients, we have to remember And Steve is probably going to say, well, Juliet, you should take your own advice. I'm going to say up front, I'm so guilty of
I
it.
don't need to say it. I don't need to say it.
She's saying it for you, Steve.
Is taking care of your own mental health, whether you need to, disconnect for a while or do something that is just for you, or in Tiffany's case, sit down and read the act quietly by yourself. Whatever it is that invigorates your mind. It's gonna be
Going swimming. Did you get your pool up?
No, my pool is not open yet.
It snowed here today.
Yeah.
It snowed here yesterday. No, my pool is a whole different. It's just added a whole new level of stress to my week, as it's open technically.
Well, no, the cover is off.
The cover is off. There's water in it. The water is circulating.
Is it green?
It's less green than it was on Monday.
Yeah, it's an interesting shade of blue-green.
Yeah, but it's freezing. I can't get the heater working. I can't get the chlorinator working.
Well, you can't get the chlorinator working because the heat's not working. It has to be a certain temperature.
See, and nobody tells me anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my pool has just added a whole new level of stress to my week, because I figured by this evening or tomorrow morning I would be in my
dear,
pool.
these
And I'm
first
not even-
world problems that we have.
Yes.
I feel you, Juliet.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
It's so sad.
Yeah, I get no sympathy from Steve over there.
I feel you.
Okay, is your pool open, Tiffany?
The cover is off. We actually emptied the entire pool because we had some liner issues. So we being my husband, have restretched it, and now it's partially filled.
Okay.
So no, it's been too cold to go back out and finish it.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm late. Is it okay if I still hang out?
Of course. You're always welcome, of course.
Oh my God. I need
Okay,
it.
so we're talking mindset, being able to find something, some way for you to be able to give your mind a rest from all the stuff that's heading your way. Anyone have anything that they'd like to share? So for me, it will be eventually going in my pool. For Tiffany, it's sitting and reading the act. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share that they use to kind of disconnect?
I don't even know what I could follow up with on that, No, I got nothing.
Start a hobby.
I mean, for me, it's my paint by number as well, I think.
I wish I had the
No one
time.
has anything,
I don't know.
anything else, and I can't.
Did you know that a lot of the universities have actually put out free courses?
Yeah, I heard
think
that.
There's like a whole list of them, and I'm like, I want to get into programming. I don't have time. I want to have time to get into programming because I want to be able to fix this stuff when it happens to me.
Yeah. So learning something new. I mean, you see all over Facebook for all the people that are completely not working and have nothing, that they basically are just waiting. That they're learning how to play an instrument. And Suzanne mentioned that last week, that was one of the things that she's doing. People are cooking. I'm doing a lot more eating. I'm not sure I'm doing any more cooking. I'm doing a lot more eating. But anybody else have anything that that's working?
Well, hey. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Clara. It's my first time here. Thank you for inviting me to join the group. Well, I came to Canada almost 10 years ago. I was an accountant in my country, and now I'm starting my bookkeeping business here. I'm in the Waterloo region. I'm just starting. I going through my CPA process, and last year I presented the final exams, but I didn't pass. So I'm gonna need to rewrite them again this year. And thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck, Clara. Are you going to sit in? I guess they're going to move the May one, so you'll sit in September?
Yes,
Yeah. good
yes,
luck.
I'm gonna start studying in May to present the final exams in September again.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How about you, Lisa? You started a hunting a killer. How is that going?
It's actually been really challenging. Not the game, just the time to actually get together. I don't know. I know that am I allowed to have like a tiny wine on Wine and Whiskey Wednesday? I'm not bringing negative. I promise I won't bring any negative energy, but
Okay,
like
no,
the
it's
great
not that kind of wine, Lisa. It's a different
wine and wine. But I didn't bring any wine, so
Wine,
I'll bring wine.
whiskey, and water. There you go.
Where's our great pause? I want time to be bored and to do things that are like learning languages and learning instruments and
Yep.
all of the things. Like, it's coming, right? Like,
Who knows?
no, Tiffany, stop it. So I guess I did ask this actually in a separate conversation, but that was pretty much the answer there too, is that for mindset, I have to get better at carving out the pause in the day-to-day, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. It really feels like a sprint right now, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I have been coloring, which, I mean, it's so mindless, and I tend to do it while I'm watching the House of Commons. And
Tiffany would be taking notes.
yeah, I'm obviously not as engaged as Tiffany.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
basically
sure any of
listened.
us are.
I listened to the whole thing, and then I was like, okay, so by the time Monday rolls around, Tiffany and Juliet are going to have this all nailed down, and I can just kick back, do some coloring. They'll get it figured out, and I'll figure it out from them.
Well, now that I know that Tiffany enjoys reading this stuff, I'm going to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm just going to say, I'm going to kick back. And here we go, because Tiffany's enjoying it.
I said I enjoy reading it. I didn't say I enjoyed communicating every single aspect of it.
Okay, fair enough.
You're doing an excellent job, Juliet.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Seriously, I've said it before. I can't say it enough. There's no way I would be able to keep up with all of this
it's
on
been a
my
lifesaver for all, I think, myself,
Yeah.
and pretty much everybody here, I'd say.
I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Thank you all. Thank you. So Betty has a question in the chat, which is, I think she posted a while ago and I just missed it. Back when we were talking about marketing, where do you recommend businesses advertise their marketing?
Is that
You got to go where your clients are.
Yeah,
So
I
going
would
back to
say
the
that's
first
a pretty
step
good
of figuring out
recommendation.
Yeah.
who your clients are.
Yep.
Anything else that's worked successfully?
Do you think she's asking for like small businesses or for us?
For us, we were talking about what we should be doing in our businesses to make ourselves stronger on the other side. And one of the things was marketing. And Lisa, you smile because you're not in a space that you have all this free time to work on anything in your business for the other side, but there are people that are.
Mm-hmm.
You were the ones also, isn't that the choice that you chose in the poll?
I think I said mindset.
Oh, did you? I didn't think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But I do think that that this is a time of great opportunity. I'm astounded at the opportunity that is out there right now. I've had more good quality leads in the last week and a half than I did in the first 2 months of the year, which is just crazy to me. Good quality leads, no cleanup files, like actual weekly, monthly bookkeeping, which is just so surprising.
And why
So
do you
there's
think that they're coming to you now? Is it because you're remote and their other bookkeeper wasn't?
No, in both of, well, actually, yes. Okay, in one case, yes. But I actually can't quite figure out what the magical timing of this is. I might have to actually mull that over for a bit, because it's actually it's really surprising to me that it would happen the way that one person's bookkeeper is retiring, one person not remote, and the third one is a very tech savvy company, so there could be a component of like remote working that they just didn't tell me about, that's a driving force. But overall, I think that for anybody who has time to be marketing right now, like this is the time. Like there's so much opportunity here. I'm not an expert in marketing by any means, but if I had energy to put towards stuff right now, I think I would be putting it towards any kind of live event where you're Q&Aing through, especially on your personal platforms, because there are so many people who don't have access to the kind of resources, cough, cough, Juliet, Tiffany, that we do. So having information from us translated into layman's terms, I think would reach a huge group of people really, really quickly that could have a long lasting impact. Like it might not be that they hire you right away, but a month from now, when you actually do have time to take on new clients, you've done all this seed planting to reap the benefits.
Do you think that, and maybe out of the new clients that, that have approached you now, is it that those business owners, their business, they're not a non-essential business, and so their business is physically closed, and the business owners are at home doing what we're telling all of us to do and focus on what gaps there are in our business so that when they come out on the other side. So, and maybe they're looking at their bookkeeping and thinking, okay, well, I've been doing the bookkeeping. I have no idea how I'm supposed to calculate any of this stuff for any of these subsidies. I need to find somebody. So, is that a reason that people are also reaching out to you now?
If you don't mind, I'll just answer again, if that's okay.
No, absolutely.
I mean, you're like a dirty shirt now. That hasn't been my experience with what has happened over the last little while. I'm very lucky that not a lot of my clients have had to close their doors. And the clients that have reached out haven't either. So the most recent leads, that hasn't been an impact. But I think for anybody who again had that time to do the marketing efforts, if they were reaching people in a meaningful way to help them, I don't think people are going to be willing to spend a lot of money right now while they're not bringing in money. But if we can support them in helping them do their own books in a manageable way, I think that there's a ton of like consulting work available. So I think that, and the way I've been kind of pitching it is like, let's get on a call. I'll teach you how to do the most simple things, but like your time is really valuable. So down the road, when things work out, again, your doors are open and you're slammed busy doing sales, I hope that you would consider having me take over the role and like graduate from doing it yourself into having someone do it for you.
That's great. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know that one of the things that has worked for us is, so we have created on our website, on the AIS Solutions website, a COVID resources page that we're updating, which is pretty much the information that I'm putting in the Facebook group. I'm regurgitating it and it's going on a page that stays static so that if you need to find something, you can find it. But Steve sent out an email. I'm not going to say it was a newsletter. It was an email to some potential clients that he had spoken to over the last, 8-10 months, I think, Steve?
No, it was almost 24 months. I mean, there were some cold leads in there that hadn't gone anywhere and just sort of fell off the vine.
Yeah, and basically sent out an email just with this resource, not asking for anything, thought this might help you no matter where you are in your journey. And like you said, Lisa, what it is it's putting the information out there and it'll come back to you somewhere. But already, I mean, he got some emails back from people that kind of dropped off the face of the earth. So, so just putting the information out there, you don't necessarily have to create a web page, even if it is an email that you create this kind of template and then copy and paste it if you don't have a CRM program or anything that you're using. You don't necessarily need all the complicated tools to be able to do it if you have the time.
And actually, asking people to share that with anyone they think would be interested in that resource would get exposures to a whole realm of other people too.
Yeah.
I figured out MailChimp, you guys, as a result of this whole thing. I don't even want to tell you how many hours trying to figure out this stupid program. It turns out it's actually really simple. It was does anyone use MailChimp?
We used to.
Oh yeah. So I tried to integrate it with my Gmail account, and it brought in 1,000 contacts that I was like, oh, mamma mia. I have 50 plus clients. There's no way I need 800 to 1,000 contacts coming into this thing. But what I didn't realize at the time is if you're spending the time to send out those resources anyway, why limit it to the people that are existing clients only? Sending it out to the whole mass. I mean, I've been unsubscribing like a champ these days. So I caution just blasting out emails to everybody. But at the same time, if these business owners or even just anybody who needs information about what's happening right now, if they're not getting it from somewhere else and they're only relying on CRA jargon to make it through this period, getting some information, any information would be probably a positive thing.
Yes.
Most of our clients are not Tiffany.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany, you're there. You're dead center in the middle of my screen. You're Alice on my screen right now. Okay, well, let's put it that way.
And
you got that finally, did you, Tiffany?
One of the things I will caution is if you are planning to put together some kind of resources or something that you want to send out to people, don't just copy everything that's on the CRA website. And like you, Lisa, I'm getting bombarded with emails for newsletters I didn't even remember ever. I haven't heard anything from anybody, in 2 years. And everybody now is a COVID-19 expert on telling me how to do things. And most of them are they're copying and pasting what's on the CRA site. So take what's on the CRA site, simplify it for them. Don't just copy and paste it. You actually have to break it down. Otherwise, you're not adding any value. So just my 2 cents.
I was going to say, if you want to do stuff like that, you want to have it targeted too. If you're sending to a sole prop, the stuff is going to be for a different target audience than the email would be going to a corporation. Corporation is going to want to know about the payroll. The sole prop's going to want to know about serve.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
That's next level though. I haven't done that. That's really organized.
Yeah, but I haven't even started doing what you're doing, Lisa. So you're steps ahead of me.
Just figure out MailChimp. I'll help you.
I'm now I'll be getting off this call, going through this pile of business cards I have on my desk from various Chamber of Commerce networking events and stuff like that. And going, okay, I can email this one, and I know this one. I can email that one. And this one said, yeah, he'd be interested in a year or two when his bookkeeper retires.
And again, if you're not trying to sell your bookkeeping services and it's just, I think this will be of some interest for you or helpful for you, certainly brings up your brand and helps your brand. Okay, so we are at
Feels good.
8:59. Sorry, go ahead, Lisa. Did I interrupt you?
sorry, it just feels good too. Like it honestly feels like our hands are tied in most of the scenarios that we're up against right now. A little feel good goes a long way. So
absolutely. And what I find interesting as well, and I think about this all the time when I'm in the Kninja group, is everyone is sharing information and being able to verbalize it and say, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and having somebody else confirm it is huge. That if you are a business owner that's doing your own bookkeeping, or a business owner, you know, that their bookkeeper isn't necessarily understanding what's going on, you being able to simplify it it'll be a lifesaver for them. It really will, because there is so much coming at us so fast. Okay, now we're at 9 o'clock. So I like to always finish at 9. So I'm going to pass it off to Steve and your quote to end us off for another week of Wine and Whiskey Wednesday.
Oh, our quote this week is, "We cannot direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails."
And who said that quote, Steve?
Dolly Parton. Who else? Who else?
Excellent.
those are some sales.
Yes. Thank you all.
Leaving that comment alone, Lisa.
Thank you all very much for joining us for Wine and Whiskey
Yep.
Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great week.
Stay
Thank you,
safe
class.
and healthy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Next week.
Bye, everyone.
Stay well.